video of this too. We'll see what happens. We're going to talk about keeping score. Now, some of this is very subject to change because I am in talks right now with our computer guy, Robert, and he has been looking at the numbers, comparing last year's numbers if we did some of these different things and how differently the scores would have been. So we'll have a final decision before Dream Team starts. Some things are not going to change. All your weigh-ins are always based off of all your weigh-ins after are based off of your initial weigh-in. So when you weigh in for the first time, every weigh-in you do after that is based off of your very first weigh-in, if that makes sense. So when you weigh in on week 4, it's compared to the start. It's not compared to week 3. Week 7 is compared to your start. See what I mean? It always goes off of your start. Right? You weigh in once per week with your team and your trainer. I got to lay the hammer down on this one today. Sorry, but I'm going to lay the hammer down this year. You cannot step on the scale without your trainer and your team. Your team is going to be deducted points if you do that. We had too many people last year jumping on the scale all the time. It's not healthy. It's not good for you. It's not what we're preaching. You're supposed to step on there once a week with your team, with your trainer. Any other time, if you jump on there, team is going to lose points. All right, so make sure you know that. You get points. This is not going to change. It's just like every year we've ever done. You get points for losing body fat, percentages, not pounds. So if you lose 4.2%, you get 4.2 points. Pretty simple. Your pounds don't mean anything. If you lose 7 pounds on the scale, but your body fat didn't go down because you did it the wrong way, you just sat in a sauna and you dropped 7 pounds, well, you're not going to get any points. You lost weight, but you didn't lose body fat. All right, so you have to lose body fat to get points. Your team score is always going to be the total points your team has divided by the number of teammates. So if you have 4 people on your team, it's your total score divided by 4. If you have 2 people on your team, it's your team divided by 2. We've had people say, hey, that's not fair. They got more points because there's 4 of them. It's divided by the people, so it's the average. So it doesn't really matter if you have 2 or if you have 4. You have to have at least 2. You can have up to 6 because there's some teams that want to have 6. We like 4. 4 is the spot we prefer you have, okay? So these are the things, some of these things might change a little bit. Last year, in the last couple years, we've given a 1/4 of a point every week you maintain your extra lean status. We may bump that up. Like I said, I'm talking to Robert about it. We might bump that up to 0.35 or 0.4 points. You are going to get a point for dropping into a lower body fat category this year, though. So if you were average and you drop into lean, by the way, for you new people, there's 5 body fat categories up on the board. There's extra lean, lean, average, fat, and obese. If you step on the scale and we see your body fat and you're in the fat category, that's not me calling you fat. That's just the category that you're in. So don't get on social media and say, Bill said I was fat. You're in the fat category. Those are 2 very different things, okay? So that's a category, and if you drop out of the fat category and go into the average category, you get a point, okay? We're probably going to give you a point for every 8, we're playing around with 8 or 10 pounds. 8 or 10 pounds of body fat, not pounds, body fat pounds that you lose. You'll get a point. You're also going to get bonus points for staying extra lean for consecutive weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. We're still playing around that particular number. And something new, you're going to get a 1.5 for every pound of fat-free mass that you gain. So if you put on muscle, you're going to get points this year. All right? Something a little different. Yeah, fancy, right? All right, we're going to get into the rules of nutrition. Eat 6 or more times a day. The big thing about there is not necessarily the number 6. The big takeaway from that is people don't eat enough food, enough good food. You eat a lot of shitty food. You don't eat enough good food, okay? So you want to make sure in our plan that you're eating enough good food. You should not be starving yourself. Think of meals as opportunities. If you eat the right meal, you eat the right food, then it's an opportunity to create a better metabolic environment in your body. Eating good meals, you do that enough times, you have, every time that increases your metabolism, you do that over a long period of time, you build a better body. The whole goal here is to build a body that burns calories. So you want to eat metabolically precise meals. I like to eat every 2 to 3 hours from the time I get up till the time I go to bed, which gives me about 6 or 7 meals a day. rotating between what we call real food meals and shakes. So a real food meal might be like chicken and veggies or something like that, and then you have a protein shake. Maybe your next meal is salmon and Brussels sprouts. The next meal is a shake. I like to rotate between. That's always worked really well with me and tons of people that we've trained over the last 25 years. There are some different strategies we're going to talk about in a second, though. Okay, so when it comes to eating, every time you go to the store and you are picking out food, everything you eat is a protein, a carbohydrate, and or a fat, right? And that, again, that's not an opinion, that's just what things are. When you go to pick something up, that's what's made. It's got calories in it, and those calories are made up of proteins, carbs, and or fats. So the first thing I want you to learn, and some of you have been here forever, so you know these things. Some of you are brand new. So if I talk down to you pros, I'm sorry about that, but understand what a protein is. Learn what a protein source is. I've given the same example for like 25 years now, but I'm just going to give it one more time because I think it makes sense. If it walks on the ground and has a face and you can kill it and eat it, it's a protein source. All right, that's a good way to remember. That's a protein. I can eat that. So we want to have a protein every single meal. Meats, fish, protein powders are good. We have ours that we sell here, BLN Complete. Obviously, that's the one I like. It's a blend of whey protein and casein. If you have one that you prefer, you like the taste of, just show it to me. I'll tell you if I like it or don't like it, and I'll always tell you why I like it or don't like it, okay? Eggs are a wonderful source of protein, one of my favorites. You can do sugar-free or very low sugar yogurt. You can do cottage cheese. Every single time you eat, you want to have some portion of protein. All right, so when you sit down to eat, where's my protein? If you don't have a protein, you got to get a protein in that meal. If not, fix it for next time. Don't make that mistake again. That's the first thing you're looking for in every single meal. The slide that I skipped was getting precise with your protein. I just don't think that should be your major thought process right now, is getting precise with your protein. The biggest thing is eating your meals, and every time you eat, do I have a protein source? Most of you are not going to overeat your protein. I can't imagine anybody here overeating their protein. If anything, you're probably going to undereat your protein. So eat as much protein as you really want for each meal, quite honestly. I really don't see anybody having an issue with that. If you document it and write down how much you have, I can tell you if it's too much. If you're figuring out your numbers and you're a little bit more advanced, I like 1.5 grams to 2 grams for every pound of fat-free mass that you have. What's your fat-free mass, you newbies might say? When you do your original weigh-in, your first weigh-in, and you check your score, it's going to tell you your weight, your body fat pounds. Oh, it's going to tell you all these things. One of the things it's going to tell you is your fat-free mass. That is the pounds of your body that are not fat. Okay? That's your fat-free mass. I like to take that number times 1.5, or for some people, maybe up to 2. And that's how much protein I like you to have throughout the entire day, not per meal, by the way. Divide it. Okay? The next thing you want to do is get your carbohydrate choices right. You want to get this right, like right away. This is like right next to getting your protein. If you really want to change your body, you've got to get your carbohydrate sources right immediately. You want to eat the right kind of carbs at the right time. What we do here is we separate your carbohydrates into 2 very distinct categories. We call them low energy carbohydrates, and we call them high energy carbohydrates. Low energy carbohydrates are the kind of carbohydrates that are typically not processed, not in a package, not in a bag. There's always exceptions to everything I tell you. But they pretty much, like if there's a bush or there's a tree or there's a plant and the food comes out of it and you can eat it like that, that's a protein, so a carbohydrate. Carbohydrates always come from the ground. And if they're in their more natural source, you haven't done anything to them, that's pretty much a low energy carbohydrate. That is your vegetables and your fruits and your legumes. Mostly put emphasis on vegetables. We want to eat a lot of vegetables here, okay? So low energy carbohydrates are those 3 things: vegetables, fruits, and legumes. Emphasis on lots and lots of vegetables. You want to eat those, which I'm going to talk about right now. Low energy carbs. You want to eat those with every single meal if you can. As the weeks go by, you want to make sure you get more and more of them, so increase. In fact, I like you to work your way up to at least 9 servings of vegetables a day. That's my goal for everybody, is a bare minimum of 9. I'd like you to go more like 12 or 13 servings a day, but you want to get at least 9. Now, if you haven't had a vegetable in the last 7 years and you're just starting Dream Team, Don't start eating 13 servings tomorrow. I'd be happy if you eat one piece of broccoli, quite honestly, okay? So start slow, work your way up, and you want to start getting a lot of vegetables in there. Cruciferous vegetables is a good word to learn. Those are the vegetables that you really have to chew and work on to digest for your body to use them. Those increase your metabolism the more you eat. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, green beans, carrots, dark green leafy vegetables like spinach and kale. Those are your best sources of vegetables. As far as fruits go, I don't put bananas in there. Bananas are not in that category. I'm also not putting potatoes in this category, even though they come off and fit the description of a low energy carb. The type of starch that is in bananas and in potatoes moves them to the next category called the high energy phase, unless you're someone like Sam or Blair or one of you guys or Kim that's been doing this for a long time and your metabolisms are working the way they're supposed to. You can start having those kind of carbs outside your window with every meal. All right? But for 90% of you, we want to stick with these kind of carbs when I say eat a carbohydrate. High energy carbs. High energy carbs are the carbs that people think of when they talk about carbs. So if you went away for the weekend, you came back and you're like, holy crap, I ate so many carbs this weekend. There's a good chance you were not talking about berries and Brussels sprouts, right? There's a good chance, right? You were talking about rice and bread and pasta and all that kind of stuff. Things that are packaged, potato chips, everything. Those are high energy carbohydrates. We don't want to eat a lot of those. The only time we want to have those in our diet are in our post-workout meal. That's the only time you really want to have those. If you eat them outside of your post-workout meal, then you are being non-compliant with that meal. That's not a perfect meal. There's something that everybody should understand called carb sensitivity. Carb sensitivity is how your body reacts to carbohydrates. We all have very different carbohydrate sensitivity. Some of us have very low carbohydrate sensitivity. Some of us have very high carbohydrate sensitivity. Is there anybody here that just walks by the donut shop and smells a donut and gains 14 pounds? Anybody? Okay. Those are people with high sensitivity to carbohydrates. So their body doesn't tolerate them very well. So they have to spend most of their time not eating processed carbohydrates, but way more of the vegetables that I talked about. And when they do eat high energy carbohydrates, they should be more from premium grains, things like oats, quinoa, what else is there? Buckwheat or rice, brown rice, those kind of things. Things that have a lot of fiber in them would be better for you than having like a white starch carbohydrate. So the good thing about carb sensitivity, though, is you can change your carb sensitivity. The better you eat over the longer period of time, your body starts to actually get better, your body upgrades, and your body can process carbohydrates better. So that is something you'll get better as time goes. But for most of you, you want to make sure that you stay away from your typical carbohydrates and stick with the low energy carbs, except for after you work out. And after you work out, try to have more of the fiber-rich carbohydrates, okay? I'm going to skip all that, so that's good for there. I'm not going to get really specific with carbohydrates either. With carbohydrates, like I said, just work, it said in there, just work your way up to 11 servings a day of low energy carbohydrates. That's what I want you to start shooting for. As far as your high energy carbs go, everybody here should really keep track of the type and amount of carbohydrates they eat after they work out, because everybody's bodies are different. Some people can eat oatmeal after they work out and they feel really good. Some people says it bothers their stomach. Some people need to do more like a sweet potato. You have to find out what works for you, okay? And if you keep a really good food log and you measure and keep track of everything you eat, you'll be able to tell what kind of foods sit well with your body and which ones don't. Especially after 17 weeks of that, some of you might find things you have allergies to, or things just don't bloat you, things like that. So you want to make sure that you keep track of everything and you adjust it as we go. And if you eat oatmeal every day for a week and you feel like crap all week, okay, maybe you don't put oatmeal in there. Maybe you try a sweet potato after you work out, all right? High energy carbs, like no more than like a cup probably after you work out. Low energy carbs, which is the vegetables, you want to increase those as the weeks go by. BLN recovery, I want to talk about this because I'm trying to sell it to you. No, I am. You'll see people after they work out, sometimes with a shake. They'll have a shaker bottle and they're taking like a scoop of the stuff, and some people keep it on the shelf over there until everybody starts taking them, and everybody ignores the name, and I don't know why they do that. So, but BLM recovery, all that is it's a high energy carbohydrate, okay? It's dextrose, which is an extremely high energy carbohydrate, higher than anything else, in whey protein isolate. What I've always done is called bracketing, is I take a little bit of this before I do an intense workout and a little bit after I do an intense workout. What that does is that rushes the nutrients, the carbohydrates that you need for energy, and the amino acids into your body when you need them most right around your workout. So what I do is I take a scoop before I work out, I take 2 scoops after. Most people, most of you ladies especially, are fine with a half a scoop before you work out, a full scoop after. Only after an intense workout. You go for a walk around a block, you don't need to take a scoop of recovery. Intense hard workouts, especially your weight training workouts, but I do it for all workouts, you want to have some recovery after you work out, okay? It's got a lot of carbs in it, but that's okay because your body uses those carbs like a sponge to help rebuild your muscle and restore glycogen and get you ready for your next workout. So I never skip having that. In fact, I skipped it one time on accident just not too long ago because we had to go to a Christmas movie and I made my shake and I left it sitting up on the counter and I was all pissed off about it the entire time that I'd forgotten to do that. So, all right. Also, don't skip your fats. Luckily, we're way past the 1980s and people know not to skip fats anymore. That was the 1980s when everybody said, hey, don't eat fat because fat makes you fat. But we know fats don't make you fat, especially if you eat the right kinds of fats. You want to eat fats with as many meals as you can. Just having a fat source is good. So to recap, before we go any further, every time you eat, so don't make it complicated. Every time you eat, you want to say, where's my protein source? Where's my carbohydrate source? Is it the right kind of carbohydrate? Is it low energy or high energy? And now, where's my fat source? It's that simple. When you sit down to eat my protein, my right type of carb, and my healthy fat. There's lots of different fats, but I want you to focus on getting your omega-3s right. That's probably just as important as getting your carbohydrates right, because the combination of getting your type of carbohydrate right and getting more omega-3s in your diet, that's a nice 1-2 punch to really create a good metabolic environment that helps your body build muscle and burn fat better. So get your omega-3s in. Here's the problem with omega-3s. They don't come in a lot of foods, and the foods that they come in, a lot of people don't like. But this is one of those times where I'm just going to tell you to suck it up and you got to figure out how to do it, because fish, does anybody like fish? Good. Fish oil supplement, everybody here should go buy a high quality fish oil supplement. Buy one that's got the most EPAs and DHAs in it. I like you to shoot for 2.5 to 3 grams per serving, okay? Flax seeds are great. You could, BLN Complete, our protein powder, has ground up flax seeds already in it. So when you take our BLN Complete, you're getting omega-3s right there. You can do flax oil. You got to keep it in the fridge. Someone told me there's a new one now you can cook with, but you weren't supposed to cook with it unless they've changed something about it. But you don't cook with it because it destroys some of the omega-3s in it. So you want to keep it's using a dark bottle and you have to keep it cool. And it does take a little bit getting used to the taste. I'm not going to lie. But once you get used to the taste, I think it tastes good. But you do have to get used to it. So flax oil is good. In just 1 tablespoon, just 1 tablespoon, gives you about 14 grams of fat, but 11 omega-3s, which is a really high number. So there's other fats that are not high in omega-3s, but you should still try to get them in your diet. Most important would probably be extra virgin olive oil. It's not a great source of omega-3, like I said, but it's a great source of what's called a monounsaturated fat, which is also really important. So I try to make sure I have extra virgin olive oil every day. Avocados are also high in monounsaturated fats. I believe that people have a tendency to eat way too much of avocados, so I'd rather you stick with just like a tablespoon or so of extra virgin olive oil and eat avocados sparingly. CLA is a supplement, but it's a great fat. It's a man-made supplement there, but it comes from, there's a lot of CLA in beef, but it's hard to eat enough beef to get enough CLA. But it's been shown in studies, it's a fat that helps your body burn fat for fuel. So I always take 2 or 3 grams of CLA every single day, year round. Not a miracle pill or anything like that, but it does help a little bit if you're doing everything else right. Quick nutrition recap. Eat lots of food. Don't starve yourself. Eat high quality protein with every single meal. Rotate between real food meals and shake meals. Carbohydrates, eat the right kind of carbs at the right time. Make sure you're getting fats with at least most of your meals. I like you to get them with every meal possible. Focus on omega-3s. Recovery, immediately post-training after an intense workout, get your recovery in, okay? I just always like to be completely honest with every single thing that I take, so you know what I'm doing. I take a pre-workout supplement that's got caffeine and creatine and glutamine and beta-alanine and branched-chain amino acids in it. The one I take is called pre-gym. That's just the one I like to take. I am a fan of taking a pre-workout. I would rather you take a pre-workout and come up fully caffeinated than yawning through your workout, not ready to rock and roll. So I don't have an issue with that at all. If you like to take a pre-workout, just show it to me first. I like to read it. Some of them are garbage. I want to tell you if it's a good pre-workout or not a good pre-workout, and I'll always tell you why. I take a post-workout recovery shake. I also put a post-workout supplement in it that's got more creatine and more branched-chain amino acids and more glutamine. You don't need to take it, but I do. CLA I already talked about. I take green tea extract every day. You can take it just through green tea, but you got to drink like 14 cups of green tea to get as much as you get. And so maybe drink some and take a supplement wouldn't be bad. Multivitamin I take vitamin C, I take vitamin D, and I take fish oil, and I take ZMA before I go to bed. Okay, so those are all the things. If you look at my supplement cabinet, that's what you'll find. Cheat meals, restaurant foods, and alcohol. This is probably the most important. Might be possibly more important than anything I've said up till now. If you really want to change your body, you're really like, hey, I'm ready to do this. I've had enough. I'm going to change my body. Get rid of the alcohol. Knock it out completely if you can. I would urge you to try to have zero. Or if you feel like you have to, one day a week you can have a couple of drinks, maybe two. No more than that. Okay? It's not the calories in the alcohol, it's the alcohol. So many people like, oh no, I have vodka, it's got less calories. It's not the calories, it's the alcohol. It makes you metabolize your food differently. It destroys your metabolism. So you want to try to stay away from it. That's an easy thing to not do. Why don't you go ahead and celebrate New Year's, and let's not celebrate again till the banquet, okay? And let's go alcohol-free if you can. Even red wine. I know it has some health benefits, but let's just knock it off, okay? All right, try to stay away from restaurant foods as much as possible. There's going to be some times, there's going to be things you have to go to. Let's not try to do it all the time. The problem with restaurant foods is you just never know for sure what they're doing to your food. Even if it says healthy option, even if it says this, even if it says that, there's better options than others. It doesn't change the fact that you're not back there, you don't know what's going on. So if you really are trying to change your body, let's try not to eat too much at restaurants, okay? You can stay in control of everything if you simply purchase, prepare, and cook your own food. If you are not a good cook, that is a great skill to learn, or this is a great time to start dating somebody who is a great cook, okay? So that would help out a lot. Also, it's really gonna, I think you guys are gonna be very excited about is there is a website where I'm certified through called Metabolic Precision, and they have a new website out with tons of recipes that fit everything I'm teaching you. Every recipe on there fits the plan. I'm gonna send that out in a link. Now, a lot of the recipes are free, but a lot of the good ones are not free. So you got to get a membership to get some of them. I didn't look at what that membership is yet, but Sam, you looked at it.
I did look
But you looked at the recipes, right? They look good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, they're in Australia, so some of the stuff is in like grams instead of ounces and stuff like that. So you got a conversion chart and figure it all out from Australian. So really good looking stuff though, and like I said, it all fits there. I will email that link out before Dream Team starts. Some things to think about. If you find yourself justifying what it is you're about to do, you are most likely screwing up in a bad way. It's very, very easy to justify things that you're doing. Going to a drive-through and getting a chicken sandwich at Wendy's and throwing away the bun. I just had chicken and I put it on top of a salad. That's lazy. Don't do lazy stuff, okay? You want to purchase, prepare, cook, make your own food. Everything comes from you. Let's not do lazy things. Let's not justify bad decisions. I know you're busy. I know sometimes it's going to be tough, but try to follow the plan of having your food ready for you when it's time to eat. I would say arguably that is the secret to good results, is having your food prepared when it's time to eat your food. If you do that, you're going to do a hell of a lot better. So everybody's different there. Some people cook ahead for the entire week. Some people cook 2 or 3 times a week. Some people cook everything in the morning. Whatever you have to do, your schedule's different. But make sure you have your food ready when it's time to eat. I want to talk about cheat meals for just a second. Cheat meals are a very individual thing. Many people do very well by allowing themselves a cheat meal once a week. I never did. Like when I was competing in bodybuilding shows, once I started my contest dieting or whatever to get as lean as I can, I never did a cheat meal. That being said, that's just me. Some people I've seen do amazing during Dream Team, and they have a cheat meal every single week. Every Friday, maybe they go out to eat. They go to a restaurant and they have a couple drinks. Once a week, it's not crazy. They don't go overboard. It gets them ready for the rest of the week. Some people, if they eat one, it's like a button's being pushed. They eat one French fry and they're like, oh, I got to eat all the French fries now. And Friday night turns into Saturday, which turns into Sunday, which turns into, I'll start Monday. And next thing you know, you threw away 3 days, okay? So that's something that you have to figure out for cheat meals. That being said, I would not have a cheat meal regardless the first 3 weeks. I would try to go the first 3 weeks, no cheats, get your meal plan down, focus on it, get everything right. Then you can start talking about that. This is a new slide that I just put in this year. I really think this recaps everything I just told you. If you just follow this right here, you can look at it, you can take a picture of it. I don't know what you have to do, but I really feel if you just do these things, you can't go wrong. 1, do this, eat more often. Don't do this, don't starve yourself. Do this, eat foods that used to walk or swim around. Don't eat processed meats. Do this, eat foods in their original form, how they came from the ground. Don't do this, don't eat things from packages, boxes, and bags. Do this, purchase, prepare, and cook your own food. Don't eat out of restaurants. Do drink lots of water. Don't drink lots of alcohol. Do add spices and learn to cook. Don't add creamy sauces, dressings, and hidden fats and sugars and things like that to your food. Do focus on eating the right foods. Don't worry so much about macros, calories, and portions. That's not your issue usually. Sometimes somebody will come to me and say, oh, I think my problem is I'm eating too much. This is a conversation I bet I've had dozens of times. I will say, eating too much of what? And they'll kind of, I don't know, stuff. I don't know what stuff. What stuff are you eating too much of? Just too big of portions. Too big of portions of what? And this song and dance goes on for like 15 minutes. And finally we get down to they're snacking, they're grabbing chips. That's what it is, okay? So it's not that people eat too much typically of the right foods. It's they snack on the wrong foods. You are most likely not going to overeat fish and broccoli, right? Those are things, berries, eggs. You're not overeating those things. None of those things are going to make you fat. You don't go somewhere and eat eggs every day and come back fat because you started eating eggs, right? So eat the foods that are natural, the way they're found, the way God put them here, and you're going to do well. Don't eat the processed garbage, and you're going to be fine. That's pretty much sums it up right there. All right, almost done. Then we'll get to the fun part. Something I wanted to add this year, because I know a lot of people do it, and I wanted to make sure that if you're doing it, I'm not against it, but I want you to do it right. And that is intermittent fasting. I know some people are like, Bill, why is Bill talking about that? Because I'm stuck with my ways. I've been eating the way I just told you for 24 years I've been teaching it. Intermittent fasting is interesting. I don't believe it's a fad. It's not something that I do. I want to be very clear, I don't intermittent fast. I have had people do it, and they've done very well, though. So I just want to say what it is, and if you're going to do it, I want you to do it right, because some people, I think it fits them. Some people, I think it fits their lifestyle. Intermittent fasting is basically you have an eating window, and you don't eat outside that window. Typically, that window is an 8-hour eating window and a 12 or a 16-hour not eating window. Does that make sense? Now, that is not written in stone. The people I had do intermittent fasting last year, we did a 12-12 window, which really isn't much different than you're doing anyways. But I had a girl last year, the first 8 weeks of Dream Team, her food log looked really good. She only lost like 2.5 or 3%. It looked like, I was like, wow, everything looks good. So we changed a few very small things, but one thing we did is I said, hey, let's do a 12-hour window of eating. Don't eat outside that window. We made sure she didn't have any kind of processed food in her diet at all. Absolutely zero, none, okay, zero. for 8 weeks, and she lost 25 pounds in the second 8 weeks. And those are really the only two things that we changed. So I thought that was really interesting. And I do know some people have done very well. If you do want to intermittent fast, I like the 12-12 window. If that's not working for you, you can work your way down to a 10-14 window, and then you can go to an 8-16 window. Please do not go less than an 8-16 window. I know some people go even down further than that, and they go to a 6-18 window. That is not enough food. You're not going to get enough calories in. You're not going to eat enough food. The goal is not to starve yourself. So you can play around with that idea if you want. What I know one person did the talk yesterday is she followed eating 6-7 meals a day from the time she woke up all the way until bed. She did very well, lost a lot of weight. When things weren't working as well, she went down to intermittent fasting, and she dropped even more than she was already dropping. So that's something you can play around with. However, and I don't want to confuse anybody, but whatever you decide to do, and if you feel like that fits your lifestyle, I can help you. But what's going to work for you is what you stick with and say you believe in, and you're going to actually do. Okay? The thing you're going to do is the thing you're going to have the most success with. So make sure you commit to something and follow it. Finishing your intermittent fasting. Ideally, in a perfect world, your workout should be somewhere in your intermittent fasting. So either at the beginning, middle, or end. So ideally, there's some food around your workout that way. Outside your window of eating, there should be no calories. I know some people do, and they call it dirty fasting. I'm a fan of if you're going to do something, you go all out and you do it right. You would have only water, black coffee, and unsweetened tea would be anything you'd have outside your eating window. You still would attempt, this is very important, you still would attempt to get at least 5 meals in. At least 5 meals. And you still follow the contents of everything I just told you beforehand. You still eat every meal as a protein. Every meal is the right kind of carbohydrate, and every meal has your omega-3 fat. That does not change, okay? But that, if you wanted to do intermittent fasting, that is how it is done properly, okay? I just want to make sure everybody knew how to do that if it's something you want to do. And finally, I want to talk about carb rotating, not to confuse you anymore. This is something that people do sometimes if they get stuck. So I just want to tell you what it was, because there's some people that have done very well. Everybody I'm talking about, we've always started off doing everything that I told you at the beginning. Sometimes if you get stuck, we have to add some different things. So this is something that we added for some people. I know Blair likes to do it with his people, wherever Blair is, somewhere. Is Blair here, or is he hiding? He's here. You do some carb rotating, yes? Blair's a fan of carb rotating. I did carb rotating a lot of times towards when I was bodybuilding and getting ready for a show. It's very simple. All it is days where you have high carbs, medium carbs, and low carbs. Most of everything stays the same. You're still eating multiple meals. You still have a protein source with every single meal. You're still eating your good fats every day. The thing that changes is the carbs. That's why it's called carb rotating. So a simple way to do it is you'll have low, medium, and high days. On your low days, whether it's a workout day or not a workout day, all you eat is protein, vegetables, and fats, period. That's all you eat on that day. If it's not a protein, a vegetable, or a fat, period, you don't eat it, okay? That would be a low day. A medium day, I would do on a workout day, and I would have my recovery shake, and I would probably have a carbohydrate in my next meal, okay? On a high day, you add high energy carbohydrates, but good ones. Oats, sweet potatoes, quinoa, brown rice, that kind of thing, to at least half of your meals. That's something that we have to experiment with your trainer. At least half of your meals. On your high day, that's also the day you would have maybe a cheat meal, if you want to have a cheat meal. One thing I do think works really well, would work well for you, if you incorporate high, medium, and low days into your intermittent fasting. I do think that if you're going to do intermittent fasting, I would probably make sure I have high, medium, and low days. That way you make sure you're getting enough food, okay? I like to start off with 3 low days, 3 medium days, and 1 high day. That's what I would start you off with. And we can always change those medium days into low days. I know it sounds confusing, but guess what? If you go on blpfdreamteam.com and you see files, I literally have a diet for every single one of these written out for you. Every single one. It says, here's a sample meal plan, here's a sample meal plan, and with 4 different workout hours. So there's 4, 8, what's 4 times 3? 12? There's 12 diets on there. There's 12 sample meal plans on there that you can follow. Okay? So we laid it all out for you. Skip that for now. I'm sure you'll have some questions, but we'll answer those in a second. I'm not really going to talk a lot about training. I just want to touch on some things. If you're doing Blair Fit, which is over here, it's a combination of functional movements with weightlifting and cardio all rolled into one. Make sure you are focusing on learning to do the lifts correctly before you think about adding weight. Your coaches will tell you that. They should tell you that. Be mindful when you're lifting. Focus on working the muscles, not your ego. Get in here early and stretch out. There's a lot of stuff that goes on here. Don't walk in 6 o'clock and start grabbing weights and throwing them around. Stretch out a little bit. Keep a detailed training log so you know what you're supposed to do. As time goes, work on making your workouts more intense, but always have your laser beam focus and put your stuff back when you're done. Blair, as the coach, anything I'm forgetting right there that you should, anybody who's doing Blair Fit?
Ask questions if you don't understand things.
Ask questions. Some complicated lifts over there. Don't get frustrated if you don't get a complicated lift that takes a while. I've been golfing for 7 years now and still cannot figure it out. So if I can't figure this out, you might have some trouble figuring out all the lifts as well. So don't be afraid to ask questions.
Sometimes the workouts are a little confusing too.
Yes.
You get the hang of them after a few weeks, so it's kind of like learning.
There's a lot of acronyms on there. You got to figure out.
You gotta kind of
Yeah.
give yourself some time. It gets better and better as you go.
Cardio. When you're doing cardio, I am more of a fan of weight training and having a very good diet and doing just the right amount of cardio to lose weight, not more. More is not better when it comes to cardio. If you over cardio, you're just going to slow your metabolism down and burn off muscle. I've said it a million times that cardio is something you should do, but it also gets overrated and overused. More is not better. Start off with doing just a couple of sessions a week and work on doing them very, very intense. Do harder cardio sessions, not more cardio sessions. It doesn't do any good to do a whole bunch. As one of my favorite bodybuilders of all time and greatest lifters I know, Dorian Yates, who is a 6-time Mr. Olympia, came here to talk to us, and somebody asked him a question about doing more exercise. If I could quote him, I don't want to give him credit. He said, and it's elegant, so you can keep this in your minds, adding shit to a pile of shit just makes a bigger pile of shit. Okay? So just doing a whole bunch of shitty cardio is just going to be shitty cardio, so do it right. Practice doing your workouts better and be intense. Your body needs to recover from cardio too, so be mindful of your nutrition. Great cardios are boot camps, and your membership includes all the boot camps. It's a great way to have like a group cardio. And Max OT cardio is on the Max OT cardio bikes, which we have another one coming. In the back room, I'm hoping to have like 7 or 8 working bikes by the time Dream Team starts. There's a poster up there and it says how to do Max OT cardio. You could tell I wrote that poster about 14 years ago because it says like grab your iPod or something on there, or something I think it says, or your CD player. So, last thing, your mind will determine your success. The first thing you have to do is you have to have a why. So all that other stuff is important, but if this isn't done, then all that is bull. It doesn't make any sense because you have to know why you are here. You have to have a very strong why. Why are you going to get up in the morning? Why are you going to prep all those meals? What is going to do that for you? If you haven't found that why out yet, and it does need to be strong, I'm hoping that when you take your before picture, which all of you should do on Monday and Tuesday, in the morning, like 5:30 a.m. to 7, then again 4 to 6 at night on Monday and Tuesday, everybody should take a before picture here. Your before picture will often give you a why. When you get your before picture, and I send it to you as soon as I can get around to it, it's usually within the first week, don't just look at it once and think, oh, that sucks. Look at it, study it, use it. That picture is the result of everything you've done up to this day in your life, right? So if you're 48 years old and you take that picture, this picture is the result of your decisions over 48 years. That's what it is. Take that for what it is. Don't get sad about it, but use that to change what is my next picture going to look like. If you want this picture to be different, then you need to change the habits that you're doing. If you have not read the book Atomic Habits, download it if you're an audiobook person or buy it today as soon as you leave here and listen to it. Kim, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
James Clear. Atomic Habits. It's very important. He talks about so many great things in there about the mindset, about setting habits and not goals. I thought it was really interesting, so I don't want to take credit for it because I think this is in that book, Kim, you can tell me if I'm wrong, is winners and losers both set goals. Okay, everybody's got goals. It's not the goal, it's the habit. What are you doing to reach that goal? So don't think about, oh, this is what I'm going to do this. Think about what you need to do every day. And then if you do that, then that goal will happen at the end. Another thing I don't like about just having goals is people stop at the end when they have goals. To your dream team, hey, I want to lose 40 pounds. I lost 40 pounds. All right, I'll see you next dream team, Bill. And you're up 30 pounds. Okay? So I don't like goals. I like building habits. Having check marks, checkpoints. Hey, I want to reach this. I want to reach this weight by this time. But that's just a check, and we keep going. Okay? So get into a good routine and have a good habit. You know, another really good thing that he said in that book was, so again, you have to get this book, is how you talk about yourself and how that mindset will make you better. So for example, Denise is shaking her head because Denise knows right over there, is I think he used smoking as an example, but you could use eating desserts or drinking or whatever you want. And he said somebody's trying to quit smoking, and if someone comes up to him and offers them a cigarette, and if you start saying, oh, I'm trying to quit, and I don't, you start saying all these things, you are leaving the door open that you might have one later. But if someone says, hey, you want a cigarette? You go, I don't smoke. You see the difference right there? You cut it off. I don't eat dessert. See what I mean? If you, oh, maybe later. Oh, yeah, have one. Good. It's really good. You say, well, now it becomes a conversation, and a lot of times you lose that conversation. You end up doing the thing you didn't want to do. So just, I don't do that. It's not something I do. All right? Get that book. You will have weak moments. Look back at your before picture. I have been challenging people for years to take their before picture and make it their screensaver on their phone. I still have yet to have someone show me that they've done that. People have told me they're going to do it, but I've never seen it. I believe that is the number one motivation you can do because you see it constantly. But use it to motivate you that you're going to change that picture every 2 weeks. Put your before picture on there and say, hey, in 2 weeks I'm taking another one. Put your new picture on there. In 2 weeks I'm taking another one. Put that one on there. I really think if someone would do that, I'd love that. Show it to me. We want you to eat a lot. You should not be starving yourself. You may be a little bit hungry, which is a good thing, but I highly doubt that you will be starving. So if you come in here and tell me you are starving, A, you're not supposed to be starving. B, are you starving or you just want to eat something you're not supposed to eat? Because if you're eating like we're telling you to eat, you're not going to be starving. If you're a little bit hungry when you go to bed, that's okay. All right? One of my favorite quotes is from Vince Lombardi, who was the coach of the Green Bay Packers, and he once said that fatigue makes cowards of us all. It's very true. Even very strong warriors can get weak mentally when they're tired. So have good workout partners, okay? Especially on your max OT cardio. When you're doing your cardio, have someone there with you. When you're working out, be a good workout partner. Don't just stand there. If your workout partner's lifting and I'm spotting, don't talk about what happened on a TV show the other night. Let's get into the workout. Like, focus on the workout. Okay, so like everybody should know what everybody is doing. Let's get into it. And you should know what your workout partner did. I can tell you what my workout partners do for every single workout. I could tell you last week, they could say, well, we're incline bench. I could say, you did 75 for 5 last week because I'm paying attention. I know what they're doing. You should pay attention to your workout partners. I've never kept a food log. Well, even though I told you to buy one and do it. I've never kept one. What I always do, which is actually how I set that book up if you looked at it, is write your food down first and then eat it. I've never actually, like, oh, I just ate this, better write it down. I've always made my plan and then I follow my plan. That's how that book is set up, okay, just so you know. If normal people around you at work or whatever think that you're starting to become obsessed, there's a good chance that you're doing things right. Because a lot of times, people that say they're your friends don't want you to do well. And I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you, but it's true. If you and a couple friends all have weight to lose and you decide to join here and you start losing weight, there's a good chance that 2 of your friends don't want you to succeed. Because if you succeed, that means they could succeed. And it's a lot easier for you all to just look at each other and tilt your head and go, it's hard, I know, it's hard. I'm older, okay? So let's not do that. Let's try to be a step above. This really has nothing to do with anything except for I don't think you should hit your snooze button. That's just a pet peeve of mine. I have always felt that if you hit your snooze button, you made one decision that day already and it was a bad one. You started off your day with a bad decision, okay? So set the time when you know you need to get up hit the button and get your ass out of bed and go start your day. Let's not be that person. I had a roommate in college that hit it over and over. It's the most annoying thing. That's probably why I feel so strongly about it. Put your phones away and go to bed. Stay off social media. Don't get involved with crap. And the only thing you should be doing on social media is looking at Bill Lawrence YouTube videos, the member page, things like that. Kind of what I talked about earlier with friends. Hang out with successful people who are go-getters. Do not try to be the best person in your mediocre group. Instead, hang out with people that are striving above you. You see people in here at boot camp that are killing it and they've lost weight. That's your new best friend. You hang out with that person, okay? You see people here lifting it hard. I want to be in that person's group, okay? So be the inspiration. Be that person. Try not to be with people who are going to bring you down. Be with people that are going to bring you up. Make sure you always do everything in here not for me, not for anybody else, not for your family. Do it for yourself, and you don't give a fuck what anybody else says about you. If they don't like what you're doing, too bad. Okay, this is for you. It's important to you. There's a reason that you're spending the money. There's a reason that you're spending the time. The reason that you come in here. We're going to help you, and you're going to be successful if you do everything that we tell you to do. Okay? I think that is all that I have to tell you. Yep, this tells you what to go do. I've already sent you. Oh, one last thing I do want you to do. Last thing. Two things. One, if you have not gotten yourself some shoes yet, get yourself some shoes. We don't want you bringing your dirty shoes to the gym. I don't mean to be that person, but let's not bring dirty shoes. No one wants to work out with snow crap all over the floor, right? So get a pair of shoes. Also, if you are in the market of buying shoes, buy shoes that have a flat sole on them for squats and deadlifts. Blair, where's the best place to get those?
There's lots of places. I mean, Reebok, Nike, would be a good one.
Okay, Reebok, Nike. What's the Reebok one called?
The Nanos.
Nanos are great. A lot of people know the Nanos. What are they called?
Nike Metcons.
Nike Metcons. Things with flat soles on them. When you squat in a runner's shoe, you roll up on your toes and you roll back on your heels. It makes a huge difference. If you're not sure what shoe to get, ask your trainer. They'll know. Last thing, go through your kitchen on Sunday. Reach deep into the pantry, way in the back, and get all the chips and the cookies and the crap. Throw it all in the garbage can, okay? Look in the fridge and the freezer, get all the crap, throw it in the garbage can. I made you a grocery list. It's on blpfdreamteam.com. It says client grocery list. Print it off, buy those foods, put those foods in your fridge, in your cupboard. That's the food you eat. But my kids, your kids don't need that. Whatever you're about to say your kids need, they don't need that. My husband, your husband needs to eat better too, okay? So, get all that stuff. We start on Monday. If you have not registered your team yet, register your team. One person has to register the team, then everybody else can go on and register. Be ready and do that now so that when you come in to weigh in, you're already in the system. That makes it go so much faster. If you come in and didn't do it, then I got to get your phone. We got to register you. There's a big line. It's a whole thing. I'm secretly upset with you. All right. So do it now. I sent you a link. Just click on it. Register now. Get it done. We weigh in Sunday morning. Does anybody remember the time? 9 to 11 and 4 to 5. 9 to 11, 4. That is just to weigh in. You'll come in. You weigh in. I'm gonna be standing here just weighing people in. Okay. Know your height when you come in. And your age, okay? And you will be shoe and sockless, so you may want to make your toes look pretty, all right? So, any questions on any of that kind of stuff? We have a nice treat for you today. We have some special guests. We had some different ones last night, so we have, I forget who, I know my paper. It's Angie, and Sam, and Blair, and Kim. Is there one more? Was there another one? No, I think that was it because Amanda's sick, I think, and Teresa couldn't make it. So you guys want to come up here real quick? Okay, so I just brought a couple people up that have done extremely well over the year. Angie has been extra lean for 42 years now. Okay. Kim was our best women's physique last year. Sam has, if anybody's followed her, has won Dream Team, and obviously she's guided many people in the gym. I know you guide people. I know what you're doing. I know what you're up to. I hear things. And she's kept her body fat down for 3-4 years now, something like that. And Blair obviously is a legend. So, right? The guy, he's a legend. All right? So what I want them to do is they're just going to talk for maybe 2 minutes or whatever, a minute to 3 minutes, whatever, and just kind of say, you guys have all done, you've done a million dream teams. You've done a million dream teams. You've done a lot of them. You've just, not 10. What you've seen, what helps, just some hints, and then we're going to open up to some Q&A after that. Is that cool? All right. Angie, you're first. Want to put this on? It's a microphone. Just put it on here.
Oh, okay.
Put it on like that. There you go.
Okay.
All right, buddy. There you go. All right.
Well, I'm so short, I can't be behind that. Okay, my name's Angie Nader, and I've been going to the gym. I think it's been close to maybe 15 years. I don't know. I started back in the old gym, which is Chateau Christine now. And when I first started, I was very naive and scared. And first of all, my partners were Rocco and Jeanette Smith, which is now like a great bodybuilder. And so, you know, I show up and they're like lifting all this big weight and stuff. And I'm like, you know, really afraid, but I'm doing everything Bill tells me to, you know, and I have never said no to him. I did everything he told me to. And I've been doing it ever since. I've never skipped a month. I've never taken a month off since like 13, 14 years ago. I've come straight through. And then, like I said, you gotta trust your trainers. If they want you to do something, try it. If you're hurt, tell them that you're hurt, of course.
Right.
But don't be like, oh my God, you know, I can't do that. And if you're doing Blair Fit, you know, he's trying to show you something. Don't be like, well, I can't do that, because that's how I felt too, but I did it anyhow. And later on through the years, I've talked to other people, and they're like, oh yeah, I told Bill I couldn't do that. And I was like, what? You mean you could tell Bill no? I didn't know I could tell Bill no, I just did it. And well, that's how you have to think. I mean, you have to think that way, that you can do it. And it doesn't matter how small you are or how big you are, you can do it. And how I think of it is slow and steady wins the race. But how I like to think of it is slow and steady builds longevity. Because, and what he said too with the extra cardio and that, I don't like to do cardio. I do what I'm supposed to do. If you come in here, you know, like a bull in a china shop, and you're coming in first thing in the morning doing cardio, and then after work coming in doing cardio, you're doing all this cardio, you're gonna get burnt out. And I've seen it so many years where once Dream Team is over, they're like, oh, you know, I need to take time off, you know, I don't feel like going back. Well, no shit, you were doing like 100 cardios a week. Who would want to come back if you're doing 100 cardios a week? Just stick with the meal plan, do the cardio the way you're supposed to do it, and you're not going to get burnt out. And you'll be like some of us that have been here for many, many years. So
Thank you, Angie.
Sure.
Thanks. Steal this from you. Thank you. Kim?
Okay. Hi, I'm Kim. Yeah, I said it's been about 10 years now that I've been coming to the gym, and I just absolutely love it. I think some of the things that really can make a difference for you is, first of all, don't be scared to be here. The first time you walk through the door to exercise here, if you've never done that, you might feel like people are looking at you funny, or that there's something weird going on, and none of that is happening. You're putting that on yourself. Let that go. Just leave that at the door, because everybody here is so supportive and so kind and really wants to see you be extremely successful. Anybody who's been doing this for more than a day and a half will come alongside you and say, hey, good job. And that's really, really a wonderful, just the camaraderie here is just fantastic. Different body types. We all look different, and that's okay. And I think you need to be comfortable with that. That doesn't mean your body type isn't going to change over time. You are going to see muscles develop that you didn't know you had, and that is an incredibly rewarding thing to experience. But your shape isn't the same as the person who's beside you. So don't try to compare yourself to him or her. You can be really proud of them for how amazing they look and what they're able to achieve, but be really proud of yourself for what you're doing, because you're stronger today than you were last week. And that's just an amazing thing to experience. Really encourage your team. Be a team. Really cheer each other on. When Bill's talking about, don't just be talking about, you know, the TV show or your kids or this or that. That's there too, but you really, really cheer for the person. Push them on so that they can really get that rep in that they never thought they'd be able to achieve. And the other thing that I really think is important is, don't think of the nutrition as diet. It is truly nutrition. This is how we should eat. This is clean eating. It is real food. It's not something you grabbed up a shelf in a bag. This is something that you have the opportunity to prepare for yourself and your family in the best way. And so even if you have small children at home, they'll eat this food, believe it or not. They don't want chicken nuggets all the time, and they don't need to eat, chips out of a bag. They will be so happy with your zucchini chips that you put into the oven. They will absolutely love the diced chicken that you make for them and everything else. And it's just so good, and that's how we fed our family for 10 years now. We've fed our kids that way. Of course, they're grown and gone now, but they now know how to cook without any problem, because that's what we demonstrated for them at home too. So you can do that, whether it's meal planning ahead on a Sunday, or it's something where you cook a big meal 3 times a week and you eat that in between. You can make things that you really, really enjoy. And that's another thing to talk to your trainer about, or anybody else who's experienced in the gym. I'm so glad to hear that those menus are going to be available, and that the website that has some recipes on it too. Any of us have all sorts of little things that we absolutely love to eat all the time that aren't just chicken and broccoli. So learn to cook well, and you'll really, really be successful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sam?
Oh.
You got it. Okay. Hi. So I didn't necessarily prepare anything to talk about. I asked Bill what you want me to talk about, and he said kind of my journey a little bit. So I want to start off by saying my first dream team was in 2020, and I actually started off with a broken foot. I was doing burpee box overs, broke my foot, so I was out of the gym for the first 5 weeks of dream team that year. And the point I want to make with this is when I came back and got on the scale, I actually looked today so I would get this right, but I was down 3% in however many pounds just from eating right at home, and that was doing no workouts. So that right there is a testament to everybody that if you eat correctly, you're gonna see results. Not everybody can do the same thing in the gym when they first start out, but if you start by eating correctly, you're gonna start on the right foot automatically. Something else I want to say is, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a really, really picky eater. I hate a lot of food. So that was one of the things that I really had to overcome when I joined the gym and tried to start eating healthy. So it is possible. You do have to be a little bit creative with certain things. I do get burnt out on the food that I eat. So always trying to be creative. You have to experiment with your cooking. You're going to make some stuff and it's going to be great. You're going to make some stuff and it's going to be terrible, but you can't let that frustrate you. You just have to keep going with it. Ask people in the gym for their recipes. Learn what is good for you, what is not good for you.
Not all home runs, are they?
No. Sometimes I make stuff and it's terrible, so I'm like, I'm never going to make that again. But like she said before, you don't have to eat just chicken and broccoli every day. Experiment with your recipes, see what's going to work for you, and kind of go from there.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No? Perfect.
How about you?
Thanks.
Go right on here? Yeah, go right on.
Awesome. I made some notes.
He's a teacher.
Yeah. I thought the whole talk so far was really good. I haven't been to one of these in about 2 years, and it was really interesting coming to it and just kind of hearing some things over again. Bill always does a really nice job. Just really neat kind of explaining and kind of thinking about some of those things. His do and don't list, I thought was fantastic. I think if you follow that, you're going to be pretty much right on track to do what you need to do. I thought everybody up here did a really good job. Kim's idea of just kind of getting stronger. I think one of the best feelings that you're going to have is when you do something that you couldn't do the week before. So like even if you're doing dumbbell bench press and you couldn't do the 40s for 5 reps last week, but you get 5 this week. I think that's like one of the best feelings there is, when you kind of make yourself be able to do something you couldn't beforehand. A couple things, the CrossFit side of the gym. It's definitely a little intimidating. I don't know if anybody here signed up to do that for this next, for Dream Team or the next 8 weeks or whatever. But pace yourself. Like I said, listen to your coaches. It's everybody's at different levels. You'll have some people doing, walk in and see Azor doing ring muscle ups, but she's also like an elite athlete that's going to Florida to compete next week. And then you have people just starting, that are doing like jumping pull-ups or ring rows, but both are really great exercises. And you just got to kind of learn to pace yourself and kind of, again, appreciate getting better at things and being able to do new things. When it comes to eating, I eat pretty much the same as Bill does. I do like the carb rotating. I think if you're gonna do the carb rotating though, you gotta be like 100% spot on. You know, if you're gonna do a low carb day and a high carb day, you can't kind of do a low carb day, but then have chips a night or snack on your kids' mac and cheese and that type of stuff. If you're gonna do carb rotating, you gotta be hitting home runs every day. If you're not hitting home runs every day, I think you need to stick to just doing the same thing every day. You know, kind of get into a good spot to where you need to be at. I always keep my meals pretty simple. I know Sammy puts lots of neat stuff on Instagram, lots of good meals. But I keep it pretty simple. I heard a lot of people talking about learning to cook, and just recently I started cooking a lot more for myself over the last couple years, and you are going to have some that aren't home runs, but it does make it a little more fun, you know. I eat pretty simple for all my meals except for my dinner. I usually try to have something and make it almost like, you know, if you have the time, almost make it like a production, like that's like your, you know, make it good. If you get some salmon and look up a way to, you know, season it the right way and do everything, make yourself a nice salad, that whole thing. I think that kind of alleviates some of that picking on things right after work and school. I think we all have the same problems. We all eat real bad right after school or work. I teach. And on the weekends. So I think you kind of got to find ways around that. And that always kind of helped me to have something to look forward to. Okay, I'm going to have this nice salad. I'm going to have steak and a vegetable and, you know, take time preparing that instead of snacking on, you know, your 8th handful of almonds and that type of thing. When it comes to training people, I like to make sure you guys are writing things down. I know when you talk to your trainer and you have a bad weigh-in, a lot of times the first thing they'll ask you is, you know, what have you been eating and what's your meal plan like? And they'll start telling you. It's really helpful if you write everything down in that food log or something. Just have a way at least that you can concrete give it to the person. I think that helps a lot. And also, if you're not doing too well, I think 2 weeks is always the time.
I agree.
If you're doing the same thing, you know, it looks pretty good, give it 2 weeks. And then your trainer, you can talk from there. You can always approach Bill or somebody else, you know, if you need to. But those, you got to do the same thing for a couple weeks to see if it's working or not. If you just do it for like 2 or 3 days, you're like, well, I'm not losing any weight. I'm going to try this next meal plan that I found on Instagram and then this one and then that one. You got to stick with it for a while and, you know, see those results.
And don't ask everybody in the gym either.
No, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, just one person, yeah. Yeah, because then you kind of eventually find bits and pieces of your own and you'll make your own hodgepodge of a meal plan where, hey, Wally says okay to have oatmeal at this time, and Bill said I could have oatmeal this, you know, and then it kind of turns into your own thing. You don't want to do that either. It's okay to be hungry sometimes. Like they said, you don't want to be starving, but if you're a little bit hungry in between meals, you'll be okay. I always think it's almost a good feeling. It means like you're kind of getting there. Eat lots of vegetables. And, you know, really just the idea of not going out to eat very much, not drinking, that's going to help a lot. You can't eat good at a restaurant. It's not possible. So no matter what you do, it's not going to be good. Last thing, I helped, or Bill and I both helped somebody get ready for a bodybuilding show not too long ago. And I had a lot of interesting talks with her. And I haven't done a bodybuilding show in a long time. And one of the things we talked about a lot was how every day, you know, everything you do, which is kind of neat about this journey, everything you do all day long is either going to take you one step closer to your goal or one step further away from your goal. So you kind of have an option all day long, everything you do to kind of help you out or not help you out. And as long as you're moving in the right direction, that's a good thing. All right?
That's a really good point. It's a really good point. You make decisions all throughout the day. And it's going to take you further or closer to what you're trying to do. Even like just going to bed or...
Yep, everything. Every day you have chances to win and lose all day long.
Yeah. Thank you, Blair.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Let me turn this off before I forget.